Good morning and welcome to Event Horizons. I hope you all had a relaxing and productive weekend. Those of you that were able to get out and do stuff, those of you that stayed warm, the environment is kind of challenging. That's a big understatement. We're looking at the big freeze here, and it is pretty impressive, at least from what we're seeing in New Mexico and around the country, with shutdowns at airports and connecting cities like Dallas and those on the East Coast. So there will be a lot of backups because it looks like this storm is still continuing. I was just telling producer Jerry that living in the foothills of the Sandia Mountains, it's intriguing because one gets a different perspective on the weather. Bear with me a second, guys, because I just don't know how to do this typing and talking at the same time, because if I mute, you can't hear me, and if you can hear me, then you'll hear me typing, but that was it. But, it's quite different to see weather forming and changing and know that where you are in this little city, 5 minutes away, the weather's totally different, warmer, nicer, milder, but that's life. That's life. So you're listening for the first time and you're wondering, who is that woman and why is she talking about the weather? Well, it's on everybody's minds. If you happen to live in an area where you have not been affected, then that is great. Count your blessings. But I urge everyone to check about highways and safety and conditions and be prepared when you go out and be safe. So I'm Dr. Robin Falkov, your anchor here for Event Horizons. We're with you Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to noon. And we come to you on Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. And I know you're saying, oh, but I'm listening on an FM station. There are those ways to listen as well. There's listening through iTunes, through TalkStream Live. We will get to you. And there's big news in store, so be patient, guys, because you're going to be really happy. Things will get a lot easier. Now, guys, I want you all to know that you're listening and we look at you as part of our extended family. And that means we want to know what's on your mind. We want to get your thoughts, your recommendations, the topics that are important to you, suggestions for hosts, and always to let you know that you're welcome to participate. And I will go into more details about that later in the show. And let's see, if you need to contact me, you're welcome to do so through my website. That's healthfreedomrights.com. Just use the Contact Us button, and that will work just fine. You don't have to remember how to spell my name. And know that my focus is protecting our health freedom rights, all of our rights, especially our right to have access to the necessary information. And that is the focus here at Revolution Radio with 71 different host programs. Oh my gosh, so much for you to choose from. And right now joining us is team member Melanie Vritschan. Melanie, you're wondering, wait a second, it's Monday, not Friday, and where was Melanie? Melanie has been a busy lady, and I will let her break all this big news for you about these events going on and people coming from all over Europe to participate. It's very exciting. Do we have Melanie on with us yet, Jerry?
It looks like she's here, sure.
Oh,
yes,
perfect.
I am.
Hey.
Hello.
Hello. Good morning. Good afternoon. Yes.
Good afternoon from Brussels. Yes, it's a pleasure to be here again on our show.
Yes, you were missed.
Well, I have good news. So I couldn't be on the last shows because we were visiting, had a meeting at the World Organization Against Torture in Geneva. In fact, I was accompanied there by 3 other colleagues. two from ICAACT and one from EUCACH. So Magnus Olsson, the managing director of EUCACH, who is a Swedish activist, and then my other two colleagues that you had already interviewed once, Robin, Carmen Lupan, who's the webmaster and video production manager, and Diane O'Donnell, who's the technical specialist for Europe. And so we went there, the four of us. The World Organization Against Torture, for those who do not know what it is and what they do, it's the main international coalition of non-governmental organizations fighting against torture, summary executions, enforced disappearances, arbitrary detentions, and all other cruel, inhumane, and degrading treatment or punishment. And they bring together more than 300 NGOs from around the world. So it's really the leading network in one of the leading human rights networks, and has many NGOs they're working with. And their vision is to actually have a world free of torture and ill treatment. What they say is that every person has to be protected, and victims and their families obtain reparation, and where the perpetrators are punished.
Wow.
So it was very good for us to meet with them, because we have certainly a common vision there with EUCACH and ICAACT, because we are defending the rights of people that have non-consensually been implanted with nanotechnology weapons, and are subsequently tortured by these weapons as well, by directed energy weapons. So it's a remote torture, but it certainly can be absolutely qualified as torture. So they're very happy that we came and informed them about. They said very honestly, well, we were a little bit aware of this being going on, but we really certainly were not aware of the scope this is going on globally. And so they were very pleased to learn from us, from this, as they called it modern form of torture, new modern form of torture. And what I was pleased with is that they have certainly contacts in the European Union, especially in the European Parliament, and also in the UN, because the UN also resides in Geneva. So they told us that they would discuss this information within their board, and then come back to us. But I think globally it was a very successful meeting, and they were pleased that we brought this to their attention.
Gosh, that is so, I don't know what to say, Melanie. The scope of what you're discussing is so broad. There's so much covered, and there are so many abuses. There's one thing that I would hope you can give us some clarification about, because many people notice and comment about, it seems that there are so many more people that just are missing, that people think, well, they got tired, they picked up and left, or the families say, no, that would never happen. What do you attribute this increase into the disappearance of people who had been leading normal, happy lives?
Yes, it is certainly a crime that is exponentially on the rise, and that is deserves much more attention than it has received until now. And that's why what we're working, towards, to raise awareness for this crime and to ultimately stop it. I attribute it to that this is, there has been such an increase in this crime, is to the let's say extreme. It's very easy to implant a person nowadays. All you need is a needle, basically, a syringe. So, and then you could certainly be, part of a scientific experiment that you're not even told about, or a member of your family. This is because this is mostly of the time it's nanotechnology. In the older days, when you implanted a person, because electronic implants are not new, they have been existed at least since the 60s, is that when you did that, you could see that still on the X-rays. That is not the case anymore in the current medical imagery that we have available, like CT scans and MRI scans, when it's nanotechnology, it's almost impossible to see, and it's so easy to implant a person nowadays. It's all you need is a needle. Well, we all got vaccines. Most of us, or many of us, have been, underwent surgery at one point in their life. So, if it's really all you need, a needle and injection, then this is so easy to do. And that is what I think is the reason that it's so on the rise, exponentially on the rise. And what must be said, still the personnel, involved in this, is very highly paid. It's very well remunerated, this sort of crime. So, yes, unfortunately, I think that is the reason that this problem has risen so exponentially, and it's so deniable. As you just said, it's so deniable. So this is why most of the victims have such problems in making their family members believe that this is going on, because it's an invisible crime. It's a crime of silence.
Yes, do you think, there's so much speculation. I know there's a lot of talk about white slavery and slavery in general of all kinds of people that are kidnapped and disappear. Or does it seem like they are using them as lab rats?
Yes, it is certainly non-consensual experimentation, human experimentation going on. Yeah. But I believe that an ultimate plan, because it's so exponentially on the rise, because it's happened to so many people, and this is not getting better, it's getting worse. So as I said, I think in the one of our last shows, is that we also find that the victims are getting younger and younger. We even had toddlers implanted. We had babies implanted at birth. So there certainly seems a way, seems to be a certain plan to control everybody via this technology, and ultimately, because this technology brings the health of the victim in very grave danger. So there seems to be also a depopulation agenda behind it. I mean, you can't help saying that when you see how many people are victims of this, and that we're even now targeting children.
Well, what really horrifies me, Melanie, it's that you talk about children and infants. They will grow up knowing no other reality than what it's like living with that kind of hell that you've described for us.
Yes, there will certainly, and this is one of the mottos of EUCACH as well. Our slogan is "Save our children from electronic slavery," because this really is electronic slavery. It's a new form of slavery, of enslaving, large populations. So you're right. If we do not stand up against this now, and if we don't defend our rights now, and I want to thank you again for your radio shows, and that you give us this platform to discuss these issues and to make people aware, then you're right, Robin, then our children will not know any other reality than this. I think that when you see what is going on with Obamacare and also certain projects here in the European Union, it's you get an implant from birth to death, which is that is really the end of all our civil liberties and all freedom. It's very concerning.
Yeah. I really hope that the audience is connecting the dots and understanding what you're saying, what you're sharing, because it always starts somewhere, and it always starts under the guise of something that's going to make life better for all of us. I think, what was it? Oh, after they were chipping dogs, they put out a few years ago how this would be absolutely wonderful for your loved ones that are mentally ill or who have Alzheimer's. They're mentally challenged, and if they're lost and confused, that's a horrible thing. And if we chip them, we can scan them and know where they go and return them.
The problem is that this causes cancer. We do not advise people to chip their dogs and cats because what we can say is there is actually a human victim, an inventor, Bob Boyce, out of Georgia. He, in fact, developed, I think I discussed this on one of the previous shows, terminal cancer. In fact, and how he found out about this is that whenever he tested equipment in the Faraday cage, when he held the detector to his right shoulder, I think the detector went off in the Faraday cage. So, and this was the location where he had developed a tumor, and that quickly spread. And when they opened the tumor up, they found a microchip in there.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. Yeah, and a few months later, when they took it out, and a few months later, the cancer came back very aggressively, and another location, and they opened this location up as well, the tumor up as well, the second tumor, and they found another microchip in there. So we can safely say that the radiation he was experiencing via this microchip caused the cancer, and then this if this happens to humans, well then it will most probably also happen to our pets. So
yes.
we're
it's
murdering
happening.
them. Yeah, happening.
It's happening. There's a long history of the chips causing cancer. And excuse me for interrupting you, but my girl is a rescue girl, and I will have her for 5 years. In February, she was chipped. She was chipped, and it's just horrible what happens through shelters and spaying. They sewed her up with stainless steel wire instead of using sutures when they spayed her, and she can't have an MRI or other testing, but the chip. There was a hard lump that I could palpate between her shoulder blades, and she was constantly flinging herself on her back and against the wall and trying to rub that. And I even called the chip company, and they said, you have to remove it, which was music to my ears. So she's tattooed. Yeah. But
much better, yeah.
Oh, gosh, yeah, I'm well aware of that. And here in the States, I think I was suggesting that you get in touch with Catherine Albrecht. She has,
in fact, we have already been on a few radio shows together, and I think my colleagues Jesse Vritschan and Lars Vritschan have interviewed her a few times. But I think maybe she's changed her mind now, but I think she has not yet fully realized that this is going on. She thinks that this project to chip people has been stopped, and we're telling her, well, no, our evidence clearly shows that this is a program that has been implemented, and many people fall victim to this. But maybe in the meantime, she said last time when we discussed with her, she didn't know enough about it, so she wasn't really quite aware that apparently it is going on, and they do chip people against their consent. Maybe she's changed her mind right now, but I'm certainly aware of the work she's been doing, and I think it's great. I think she was just a little bit surprised to hear that despite all her work, I think to stop it, we have certainly collected enough evidence, scientific evidence, to show that it is carried out. People are chipped against their consent.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Well, you have the work of people like Dr. Roger Lear and Daryl Sims, and there are so many who've been talking about this for years. Excuse me. It's no longer in the realm of, oh boy, roll your eyes, these are extremists. Yeah. No, it's
real.
Going on.
It is very real, yeah.
But what horrifies me, and I have to repeat it, the idea of infants. I mean, this is so ugly, and it just, what's there for them to protest when they grow up? Nothing. They won't know anything different. It's tragic, absolutely tragic.
And not only implanting them, but also torturing them. I just know for a fact at the moment there is a court right now in the Superior Court of California, I think, of a family. He is a lawyer himself. The father, mother, and the two children have been chipped, and the two children, one they're sure that's been happening at birth, and one they're not sure if it has been done in the hospital at birth or when he went to a dentist and got a shot there. But the children certainly displayed signs and symptoms that are generally associated with electronic terrorism and being tortured, like sleep deprivation, crying spells, rashes, saying even that somebody was hurting them, was torturing them. So that is, so criminal. I cannot, I'm just like you. I'm a mother myself. I have a young son, and that just absolutely totally revolts me. And that is a very big part, one of the reasons that I do what I do. Because it is absolutely unacceptable. To do this to adults is criminal and horrible enough, and it's a crime against humanity. But to do this to an infant or a baby that has just been born, I have no words for this.
I agree. I just had a horrible thought while we were talking, Melanie, and I was thinking of so many so-called unimaginable attacks that have come about with dogs turning on people, their families, and I would bet that each and every one of them has been shipped.
Yes.
I wonder how that destabilizes them, because they're so sensitive and so in tune with their environment, and these I'm blessed that this is not an issue for me, but hearing what you've said has made it so much more real and so much more horrifying. It just it's a big concern, because there are agendas about getting rid of dogs.
Yeah, true. And I've also heard that in our forests the elks and deer all disappearing. I don't know if you heard about this, but there's an enormous amount of wildlife suddenly disappearing, and there's no real explanation to this, So dogs and cats. Certainly, I can only think about my friend Carmen, who's a cat lover, and he has several cats, and strangely enough, especially since we're getting more and more active, and we are now meeting with organizations like the World Organizations Against Torture, or we go to the European Parliament and we talk to the members of the European Parliament there, and we are in the process of organizing a conference. So since we're getting more and more active and we're getting more and more successful in our work, I can only say that with her, there have been various disappearances or even death with her cats that for me are a little bit, they're certainly unexplained, and there's certainly, it's not normal to lose so many cats in such a short time. So I think they were certainly murdered, at least part of them. So it is very sad to see.
Yeah, it's becoming so widespread through all parts of our lives. And when you mentioned the elk and the deer, excuse me, for years they've known, and literally years, over 30 years, they've known about chronic wasting disease, which is Creutzfeldt-Jakob, which is mad cow. Prion diseases, they've known that this is present in wildlife, and at times there are alerts for hunters to be careful when they are dressing game, that they wear masks and gloves, and I call it Bambi's revenge. That's how Bambi gets even. But people don't know what they're doing, and we're seeing with the destruction in the oceans of marine mammals, we're just seeing such incredible loss of life in all areas.
Yes, it is unbelievably criminal what is going on, and this is why it's even more important that we stand up and defend our rights, because if we don't, then soon we won't have any more. All the liberties are going to be taken away, and our children are going to grow up in slavery and won't know anything else. So, it is a hard fight, but I think it's certainly worth it, and I think more and more people are going to wake up, and then we have a chance to turn this round, but only if humanity bands together and fights together for our rights. So
I agree. That's the power. The power is with everybody strengthening their communities, their connections with friends and neighbors, and then we have something to build on around the world. We're coming to the bottom of the hour. You're welcome to stay over because I know you had some other things you wanted to touch on, so it's an option unless you have other commitments right now.
Okay, I'll stay on and I'll talk about the other thing
Yeah.
talk about.
Yeah, well, missing you, there, and with all the links and everything that you gave me. I mean, I'm so glad you opened with this World Organization Against Torture. It's wonderful to know that they even exist.
Yes, and that they met us.
Yes, and that you've connected with them, you're working with them. I mean, because as we've said over and over, so many people think that they're all alone and no one understands and no one is going through what they are, that they're just cut off from the rest of the world. We are back. I'm Dr. Robin Falkov for Event Horizons, and with me is team member Melanie Vritschan. She's going to give us the good news. I'm very impressed with what you achieved. We need to clone you and have those clones out at work in all of these other areas that really need organization, Melanie.
Yes, the good news is that actually the other organization I'm part of, ICAACT, the International Center Against Abuse of Cover Technologies, has just opened their first testing facility. So, because until now, when we did this radio frequency scans, what is what we do to provide people with evidence that they have been chipped, so emitting radio frequencies. We usually did this before, like here in Belgium, where I had to contact a research center and that we could use their Faraday cage. Well, now there has been just a testing facility and a research facility been opened in Sacramento and in California, where we can do phase 3 of the testing, which is the testing in the RF scan in the Faraday cage, and also do some more research about these cover technologies and like Morgellons, which is the SmartAS technology, self-assembling and auto-replicating nanotechnology. That will so there's also some research facility there, and we're very pleased to announce that this has just been opened. I mean, or officially, I think it will be opened in December with a Christmas party, and we're very pleased, and we hope that these testing centers can then multiply, because we also would like to do construct Faraday cages in Europe as well, and in other locations of the United States. So we're very pleased to announce this, so that we can now, test even more people. And the other thing is what we were just saying, how important this community support is, and that people get together in their communities, is that this Friday I have my second victim support meeting here, and it is very, very great to see that people are really interested in this, and that they come from so far, then from France, and also maybe a few from Germany and other neighboring countries. So this is certainly great that we can get organized a little bit more and see if we can do something together to fight this injustice that has been done to us. So I'm very pleased that this seems to work well as well, and I have especially many Morgellons victims actually in this group. So we'll see what we can create.
Okay, can you give us the locations, please, of those centers? We know there's one in Brussels, and there's one in California, I believe.
Yes, there's one in California and Sacramento. I will see if I can get the the link to it. I can't find it right now, but I'll send it to you later, Robin, so we can.
Perfect. Thank you.
Put this on the YouTube somewhere. So it's in California, Sacramento, and then we do regularly events, scanning events that are usually also always announced on our website in different locations in Europe and in the United States as well. We recently did one in October in Brussels, that is true, but these are phase 1. So just to remind the phases again, phase 1 is in an uncontrolled environment, so it's a preliminary radio frequency scan where we scan the whole body for radio frequency emissions. Then the second phase is that we asked the victim to help us with medical imagery in form of a CT scan or an MRI scan, knowing that this is now mostly nanotechnology. Nanotechnology implants are very difficult to see with the current medical imagery that we have available, but sometimes if it's the old technology, we still have a chance to see it, to match that up. And the third phase is then what is now going to be done, in Sacramento, California, in this new testing facility. Again, radio frequency scan, but in a controlled environment, which is a Faraday cage. And to totally exclude that the emission that we measure can come out from any other outside source, but really comes from the body of the person. So this is great that we just, we can just open the first one, and so people have a location they can go to do the testing there.
Yeah, it's outstanding, and what a light that's going to be shining for people that have just been kept in the dark about all of this. That's wonderful. It's a lot easier in the United States to get to California than to get to Europe.
Yes, you're lucky. Yeah.
And it's wonderful. It's a great resource for people in Europe. That you have such an accessible, I know everything's accessible where you are, so that is good. And what is coming up, Melanie? What do you want people to know about? Are there any, you said there will be the Christmas party for the opening of this new center, or these new changes?
Yes, that will Jesse Beltran, who's our president, is organizing that. So I think it will be around Christmas, the official opening. So we're very pleased. And what is coming up here in Europe after this meeting with the World Organization Against Torture, which went pretty well for us. I will also now look into setting up meetings with other human rights organizations like Amnesty International and Human Rights Watch, but this will be here in Brussels because I have contacts here. And then ultimately what we would like to organize with EUCACH is a big event, an international event, inviting members of the European Parliament, scientists, human rights organizations, victims as well, of course, doctors. But this will be a little bit of a longer-term project, or let's say medium-term, for next year, because I would like to organize this in the European Parliament to, really give it a great visibility, these issues. So that's what I'm working on right now. And yes, 2013 has been a great year for us, and I hope 2014 will continue, on that line and will be even greater. So, because ultimately we really would like to, bring these kinds of abuses totally to an end, and to prohibit any technologies that enable any manipulation of the human being. So that is our ultimate goal.
Yes, and we are so appreciative that you're part of the team here, Melanie, and waking people up, because as you say, so many aren't aware that this is happening now.
Absolutely, and not only bringing it to an end, so prevent this from happening to future victims, or that these technologies, will be stopped and totally prohibited. But also, of course, the victims that are already victims now that need support, and they should perceive an indemnization for this. Although this can only be financial. I mean, their life is destroyed. I don't want to minimize this, but there has to be some form of I can't say justice, because you cannot get justice to such a crime done to you, your health, your life, everything destroyed, your family. But we are also fighting for getting some compensation for the victims, which I think is more than appropriate.
Yeah, yeah, most definitely. And I mean, compensation, and what you are providing them is vindication for everyone that told them that they're crazy and that they're imagining these things. True. And the doctors and the family that just made their life so torturous on top of everything. Now they have to step back, and it's, oh my God, what did I do to my family member? And they will get the support that they need.
Yes, hopefully they will realize, that the victims really need support, and the worst thing they can do is shun them, like it's, we see in so many cases that they basically end up totally isolated, and the family members declaring them crazy, and so because then this is unfortunately what we see then is in this situation a lot of suicides. Yeah,
well. It's tragically understandable. What do you do when hope has been taken away? Doctors ridicule a person, and the families turn on them as well. What recourse is left if somebody doesn't have that courage to get out there and fight?
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's true. So anyway, but
yes.
There's a lot of positive things, and we will keep on fighting. And I'm sure
Definitely.
that ultimately we will resolve this. So.
Yes, at the rate that you're proceeding, yes. I think I look forward to 2014 and lots more amazing changes, and hearing about your locations ever more widespread, and people finally getting their peace of mind back, because that's priceless.
Yes, I would also like to say that if people want to support us, and especially the testing centers, there's a donut button now on the ICAACT website, ICAACT.org, and you can support us also via your donation. This will go into the constructions of these Faraday cages and the testing and research center.
Okay, well, I thank you. And the websites, can you give out the websites again?
So the ICAACT website is ICAACT.org, so ICAACT.org. And the EUCACH website is European Coalition Against Covert Harassment. If you want to know a little bit more what we do on the lobbying, the political side. This is EUCACH, so EUCACH.org.
Perfect.
There's also an email if you have questions. There's a contact email there. You can write to us.
Well, that's wonderful. I thank you so much. And you let me know how your schedule unfolds. If it works for you at the end of the week, if you're not traveling, we'd love to hear more. But we can be in touch, and I will get my computer issues resolved. So please, if I'm not on Skype, just send me an email as backup.
Okay, will do.
Yeah. So that way we won't miss anything. Okay, well, perfect. My thanks to you, Melanie, and I look forward to more good news.
Me too. Thank you for having me on again.
Always a pleasure. And that was our team member, Melanie Vritschan, and I urge you all to go to eventhorizons.info and look for the page for team members. Her contact information is there, and it is important to support the work of Melanie, our network, me. There are lots of us out there that are putting so much on the line so that we can get the information out to you, so that you realize, as I've said so many times, excuse me, my friends, you're not alone. There are other like-minded people, and we value you and care about you and want you to know that we're here. We are here, and you can participate at Revolution Radio. You can go to our chat rooms. You can talk to the names that have the angels alongside, and you can ask them about donations. There are many different options, and it is the holiday season, my friends, and that means that everybody's out shopping. You're seeing more friends and neighbors, and it's a perfect opportunity that you leave off those earbuds and load and leave with our programs on your smart devices and play them. And you will be astonished at the conversations that will follow, because you'll have people kind of shy, and then it just becomes compelling, like, excuse me, what are you listening to? And that starts the conversation. Because there are people, not just me, that do strike up conversations and talk to others. If I see an interesting book that someone's reading, I might ask about it, or magazine. We have to reconnect, my friends. We have to reconnect. And we value your support here. You have podcasts that can be downloaded to make it easy to load and leave and spread all that good word. And that's $4.95 a month. There are other donations. That CPAC is still available. I think that is one of the most amazing things. Communities should contribute so they can have gardens. They can have their neighborhood gardens where everybody volunteers. Somebody's got a big sun house, a hot house. You've got quality seeds, my friends, and you'll know what you're eating. You're not losing any nutrition because it's picked and goes right into your kitchen. And there's nothing better than that. And I have to stop talking about that and start doing that. So there are many ways to help out. With all of the hosts that we have here, oh my gosh, we need so much more technical support. Talk to those names with wings and let them advise you. Let them tell you how you can make a difference. You can make a difference.